This is The Industry. A show built by the working class for the working class. If you have a job, this is the podcast for you. Here is your host, Levi Jett.
Welcome back to The Industry. So happy you could be joining us today alongside Carlos Correa. My name is Levi Jett. Carlos, how's it going today, man?
Oh, it is going. The weather's not that great, man, but can't complain.
Why not? What's going on up in your neck of the woods, man? It's hot here. I don't know about you. It's hot.
As you can tell, I still have a hoodie on. It's like us in the Midwest like to say it's fresh. But yeah,
I don't know. You like to say that it's fresh. Nobody else in the entire Midwest says that ever. That's a you word.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's a Chicago thing, man. I say it a lot. People out here say it a lot.
Maybe.
So for everyone that is
fresh in Indiana. Fresh in Indiana has always meant like cool. Or like trendy, like that's fresh, like the outfit's fresh, not that it's fresh like it's cold enough to take your breath away.
No, fresh like it's when we say fresh, it's like it's a nice windy overcast day where you could wear a hoodie and some shorts, so it's not cold but it's fresh.
Okay, gotcha. Hoodie and shorts is the official Midwestern outfit for fall and spring. Mainly fall.
There you go.
But yeah, man. So no, it's hot here. Like it's very humid. We got a chance of storms later today. I'm hoping they come earlier than later. Just to kind of break the heat a little bit. You know, like all winter and all spring, all the crap weather we go through the whole time. I'm like, man, like I can't wait for the summer. Can't wait for the heat. Can't wait for it to be hot. Like I want it to be 90 degrees. And then it gets here and I'm like, man, it's, maybe 80 degrees here right now. It is a little humid out, a little stiff, but still like it's nothing compared to what it's going to be in a few weeks and a few months. But no, it's not bad, man. We, did some fishing this morning, and I was the family champion of fishing. Caught a couple fish, and Bailey caught a big ass catfish. And then I caught a smaller fish and some other fish. I don't know what to call it? I mean, it was super small. Like I didn't even think I had anything really on the hook as I was pulling it out, and like Morgan called it out and she was like, hey, you caught something, and I was like, what? So but it's funny because when you're fishing, like it's
do you guys need a fishing license?
Say what?
Do you guys need a fishing license down there? Or permit?
Yeah, so if you're in, I think it's public waters, you do, but in like private waters, you don't. But the good thing about Indiana, so me being a disabled combat veteran, I actually get a free fishing license, and so does my family. So, now granted, like today, we were, fishing at one of the private ponds here in our private lakes, or whatever you want to call it here. So, we didn't need that, but it's crazy that when you're fishing, man, like how as soon as something grabs that hook, whatever it is, your mind just races about what it could be. And then like, as you're fighting it, you're like, I'm pulling up like a sunken ship, like you don't know what it is because it's under the water, and
I got a mermaid, guys.
Pull it up and it's, yeah, mermaid. And, yeah, but it ends up, being a stick or like a fucking can or, whatever. But yeah, but what sucks, man, about fishing to me is that you're there, you're by the water, it's hot as balls, falls, and all I want to do is swim. Like I don't want to fish. Like I don't want to
Mhm.
stand there and keep sweating. Like I want to jump in the water. Um, so yeah, and like the private lakes around here, obviously you can't swim. There's signs posted where like no swimming, no diving, no ice fishing, or what was it? Something else too, but weird
It's
sign.
it's all it's all liability, man.
Um, no, for sure, yeah, 100%, yeah. Um, so how you like my haircut, man?
It looks very Levi-ish. Um,
Okay, okay,
you're
I'll take that
I
up.
didn't know if you're growing out your hair or I didn't even ask. I just because I normally don't like asking people. If you want to grow out your hair, grow out your hair.
Yeah,
It's whatever. Everyone has their choice.
yeah, no, no,
But it's very
nope,
high and tight, as they say
yeah,
in
yeah,
the services, right?
yeah. The military, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Good job. Points for Carlos. No, uh, I did this myself, man. Like
Oh,
I'm kind of proud of it. I mean, I cut my hair like during COVID when everything was shut down, and I was like, you know what? Like I could just do the buzz cut, um, but I wanted to try to give myself a high and tight, and I did it then. And I didn't think it looked that bad, and then I did it again a few months back, because so like where I live, we've got maybe four, maybe five barbershops or like haircutting places or whatever you want to call them, but they're always packed, all of them.
mm,
And there's like two that are, up here and they do a fantastic job. But one of those places doesn't take reservations, doesn't take appointments. And then the other place does, but they have shitty availability anyway. Like the hours are hit or miss, the days are hit or miss. So, and then you got like like your great clips and stuff like that, which you know they don't do a bad job or nothing. But again, like they're crowded, and I don't want to sit there and like wait 2 hours somewhere to get this. I mean, come on, it's not like I'm asking a lot for someone to cut my hair. I mean, it's just this. So, yeah, but yeah, man. So that's what's been going on with me, though, man. I mean, it's nice Indiana late spring weekend. I mean, it's really exciting time around here because May we've got the Indy 500 coming up, so people
oh,
are
there you
kind of
go.
excited for that. We had the Grand Prix race is today, um, and then we had the Colts drafted Anthony Richardson number 4 overall, and we're hoping that that's going to be our quarterback of the future. The Pacers are in
Okay.
the lottery, so the lottery for the NBA is I think Tuesday. When this show will actually release is Tuesday, so the same day the Pacers will learn their fate as far as where they pick in the NBA draft. But really, man, like there's some optimism around here in the sports world. People are excited about what the future could hold. I mean, the for the Pacers looks pretty bright. The future for the Colts, most people think looks pretty bright. I'm still skeptical, so we'll see. But and I mean, like you kind of know this more than others, being a Bears fan. I mean, you guys have been doing the Bears for a very long time. You finally got your guy in Justin Fields, right?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I think so. I always said, if the Bears were to draft someone, I was hoping it would be someone like Justin Fields. I was actually, I don't know if we talked about this before. I had watched Justin Fields play in high school because he was on a Netflix show called Friday Night Lights or something along those lines. And then I followed him into that Elite 11, I think it's called. I watched them on YouTube. So it's a bunch of like the top 11 or the top 20, uh, like the nation's best quarterbacks go to
Yeah,
this,
that's cool.
So, and I watched them join the Georgia Bulldogs, and then I watched them transfer to
Hmm.
Ohio State, and I was like, man, if we were to pick up this kid, I think we'd win a Super Bowl. And dude, we picked him up, and I mean, I personally think he's going to take us there.
So let me ask you this, because for this past draft, from Ohio State, a lot of people around here, was kind of hoping maybe somehow he falls to us, or somehow we up select him. There was not too much as far as what was wrong with CJ Stroud, but one of the criticisms that came to be was, the fact that he has, at Ohio State, he had 5 receivers on that team that will very likely be playing next level. And, so at that point, I mean, it's got to make your life pretty easy as a quarterback to sit there and be able to throw to people like Mark Harry, where be triple covered and still come down with the ball. So sometimes, the criticism on Ohio State players is that, Ohio State or even, Alabama, Georgia, these schools are playing at these schools is too easy because of the talent you have around you. And then when these guys were drafted, again, like CJ Stroud, he's going to the Houston Texans now. And I mean, like the talent level with people around that team is not the same as kind of what he experienced at Ohio State. So what's kind of your take on that when you think about Justin Fields?
Well, first off, I think normal people, or just any people that aren't playing that sport at that time, can talk a lot of nonsense.
Of course.
I could sit here and say, CJ Stroud, he had some of the best wide receivers in college football, but really, man, it takes talent to get the ball to that exact location of where the guy's hands are going to be. I can't do it. Even if I had all the best wide receivers, I would not be able to get that the ball in their hands in triple coverage.
Right.
Like I can't do that. And like for the sure. People that are talking all those nonsense, I mean, I unless they were a quarterback, like it's not. It looks easy, like, oh yeah, this guy could just jump. He's the best wide receiver. He could just grab the ball at any time. But nah, man, it takes talent to get the ball there. So, and even to throw the football perfectly, like not everyone can do that. So, it takes, and I think those guys deserve it. I mean, they went at a high round pick, and they're very talented, man. And Justin Fields, I mean, he's up there. Not only can he throw the ball, but this guy can run the ball. Like, I don't think the Bears have had a quarterback on his level. Shit, I don't even remember when was the last time they had a quarterback that was not only a good, thrower, but he could move. Like, I don't think I've seen that in my era. I mean, we had Mitch Trubisky, but don't get me started.
We could do a whole episode on like and again, if this was a sports podcast, we could do a whole episode about the failing quarterbacks of the Bears.
It'd be a depressing episode.
Don't worry, because the next episode could be talking about just the Colts' ineptness over the past decade, and then we can double up and talk about how the Pacers never won an NBA championship and relive all the lows of that franchise, and I'd be just as depressed.
To this day, they still haven't won.
No. So the Pacers won 3 ABA championships back when there was 2 leagues, and really the Pacers were like a very dominant team in that league. And around here, I don't have it, but of like the older generation that watched that team, or like watched those teams, and was watching the ABA. There's some pride there that it's like, hey, like, yeah, we haven't won one of the NBA, but again, when it was like this, we were the team. But no, man, I mean, the Pacers, to me, have been kind of unique in far as their timing has been god awful. When they are good, they find themselves running into, you know, some of the best other teams. So, in the '90s, we had to mess around and the playoff series, these series with and try to get past them. And finally we did. In 1998, we're able to the Eastern Conference Finals, but who was there waiting on us? It was Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. And that series went to 7 games, and in game 7 with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, I think we had like a 6-point. Doesn't sound like much now. In '90s basketball, it was a pretty substantial lead, but the game just fell out of our grasp. And then you fast forward to your that same team experience. Is now the coach, and we make it to our first ever, and still to this day only, NBA Finals appearance. And who's there waiting on us? It's the Kobe Bryant Lakers, and that was the first win of their dynasty. And so forward a little bit, and now the Pacers kind of rebuild a little bit. Reggie Miller's still there, but you bring in people like Jermaine O'Neal and Ron Artest, and then you have the infamous brawl in Detroit, and that really derailed any chance of us doing anything. But and even that, the ascensions and all the setbacks, he still made it to the Eastern Conference Finals to play them. But again, just didn't have the same chemistry, the same, just messing with a lot of stuff. And then from there, it was kind of the dark ages, and we had kind of a resurgence maybe around 2011 for a few years, and had a decent team, but again, ran into the buzz of the Miami Heat and LeBron James. So it was always like the team was good enough, but just couldn't get it done. So there's a lot of heartbreak being a Pacers fan, and really growing up, it was exciting because we were always in the playoffs, always in the mix, always felt like you may have a chance. But really, man, the last 10 years, 15 years, there's been a few highlight years around, here or there, but it's overall been pretty depressing.
I think as a fan of any game, I think we all go through heartbreaks up and down. There's teams that have their stint and go, back to back, or, keep winning, but not everyone can stay perfect. Not everyone can stay a champion. There's going to be other teams that are going to be able to afford these type of players and, try to get them over on their team. So nothing ever stays like that. Unless you're kind of like the Patriots. But even then, if Patriots fan had their turn and now it's, the Chiefs, the Patriots aren't really a big buzz in, not that I'm saying they're not a big buzz. Obviously they are, but, now it's like you hear other teams now, like I said, the Chiefs, are up there, someone that, we wouldn't expect, but the Cincinnati Bengals are up there, so we all have our ups and downs in sports, but it's just the way it is, man.
Well, I think that's a perfect sentiment to kind of wrap up the sports conversation. We could go all day, but unfortunately, this isn't really a sports podcast. So let's turn the page a little bit. So, you had kind of a topic that you wanted to bring to the podcast, and I'll let you go ahead and take it from here.
So the topic that I kind of been interested in talking about is really something that I'm going through now, and it's trying to get respect as a young leader in the industry when your workforce is a lot older than you. Um, and within talking about other, with other peers in the industry, I mean, it's tough. It's a tough situation to be in. Because first off, I mean, the respect isn't there. Let's be realistic. I mean, if I was working somewhere for 15, 10 plus years and my boss is a lot older than me, or we're around the same age, and then we're getting to the age where he's moving on and they bring in fresh new people, because we all in any industry want to look at the generation below us, and teach them, so they can continue the business, they can continue into the industry and build on what we have built. So, I think anyone, you don't have to be in this industry. I think everyone goes through it, where they have a boss that's younger than us, or you become that boss, and now your workforce is 10 years older than you, 20 years older than you. And again, it's trying to get that respect from those people. And for me, when I started, my boss or my manager, he told me, he's like, hey man, just get the respect, show them how you work, and that's how they're going to respect you. I was kind of iffy on that. I didn't know if that was all true. I think there's other ways in trying to get that respect, not only just showing them that, hey, I can work too, but it's for me, how I've been doing it is, obviously I respect them. I treat them like I want to be treated. But I don't, and not only that, like, me and you have had conversations about our managers and stuff in the past, and one thing that we always talked about was, man, like, no one listens to us. Like, why isn't our upper management listening to us that are out in the field? So, and I took that to heart, and I mean, I listen to my guys every Friday. We have a meeting, and it's supposed to be like a 5-minute safety meeting, but it turns into like a 15-minute meeting where I just let them talk. We go over the safety stuff, and then I open up the floor, and I'm like, hey man, like, right now, let's talk. Let's have a conversation. What's going on your crew? What's going on in your crew? Like, is there anything I could help with? Because I'm here to help. Now, I'm here to be a leader. I'm here to help. I'm not here to be your boss. I'm not here to tell you what to do, which, I mean, that's what I was hired to do. But I want to show you that I'm here to work along with you, not you working for me. So that's the route I've been taking it, man. And it's been working. I got my guys' respect, but there's a couple guys that it's like two of them that I really can't break, man. I can't, not that I'm, breaking, but I can't really get on their good side. I don't know. I don't understand. And they're like around my age. So I don't know if I asked one of my younger guys, I'm like, man, what do you think this is? Like, why do you think this guy, questions what I say? And he's like, I think it's jealousy. And maybe that's one thing. I didn't even think about it, but it could be like, man, like, we're in the same boat, but you're my boss. Like, how does that happen? Or how do I get there? I haven't really asked, because I don't want to disrespect anyone, but it's that whole, like, how do we get past the age gap and look at each other as peers, or look at each other as coworkers? How do we do that without having to show one another, hey, this is what I could do, or you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm trying to get to say? I don't know if you've dealt with it.
Yeah, for sure. Sure. I mean, so there's definitely unpack here, and so right away, like the age difference, it reminds me of the military in a way. So in the military, in all branches of the military, you have two sides. Um, you know, uh, you you just have two sides. So you have your enlisted side, and you have your commissioned. And so the 18-year-old kid, or the age doesn't matter, but you go up to the recruit, I want to join the army. Okay, you're going to start off as a private, and so you're going to start off in the enlisted world, and you're going to go from private, and you're going to work your way up. Now, the other side of that is commissioned. This looks like, hey, I'm going to go to college first, get a 4-year degree, and then join. And instead of coming as a private, I'm going to come in as a second lieutenant in the army. So, and then my path moving up is, I'm going to be a commissioned officer the entire time. Now, it's not just one as the other, because from starting at private, you can do sergeant, staff sergeant, sergeant first class, major first. I mean, and once you get to those sergeant ranks, you are a non-commissioned officer, so you are still looked at as a very serious leader. But again, it's just kind of the experience is different, and then you have that opportunity, because a lot of people they'll join as a private and then start going to college. They'll use that GI Bill and then kind of transfer over to the side. But it's like, look at, because there's a lot of different examples that I can give, but the one that I'll run with is that so if you take company size element, I'm not talking about a company as civilians think of a company, but a company in the military is an amount of troop group. So a company is often made up of 3 or 4 platoons, and so you're looking at maybe around a couple hundred soldiers in a company. So each of these platoons are going to have leaders, but the company is going to have an overall leader too. And the way they do this is they use 2 different leaders. So you have again, going back to company, you're a first sergeant as the top non-commissioned officer for that company, and then you're going to have a captain as a commissioned officer of that company. Now, that captain and that first work together to run that company, to run that unit, to train that unit, to prepare them for battle, to prepare them for whatever they need to do. They work with underneath them to make sure that they have everything that they need. But when you look at a captain and a first sergeant, I mean, they could not be more different. A first sergeant is likely to have 15 to maybe 20 years in service as an enlisted soldier. A captain, might only have, maybe 4 years in, but they have a college degree. And so typically, again, that can be much younger than that first sergeant. And there is sometimes they are at odds, especially when it comes to ideas and, ways to carry out tasks and ways to motivate and all this stuff. And then you look down a level, you look at the platoon level. So the same sort of thing, the top non-commissioned officer in a platoon is going to be a sergeant first class, or perhaps a staff sergeant at times. And then the top commissioned officer is going to be either a second or first lieutenant. And again, you look at a second lieutenant, he's fresh college with all military experience, and now you're picking him up with someone who's a sergeant first class. which again, that person likely has at least 10 years of military experience. And again, could be, because it's not a time-based promotion on the enlisted side. So, it's merit and opportunity based. So, you don't really have a direct timeline for people to move up. You could be a sergeant first class and be in years. You could be, a private and be 18 years. Like you have to do the things to get moved up. But still, the point is that sometimes they're, and this example kind of reminds me of that breakdown. But the military, it's a kind of best of both worlds. You have an officer that, again, like they're going, they went through college, they have a 4-year degree, so they're going to have a well-rounded education. Again, they're younger, so they might have a different viewpoint of the world, especially in this day and age. They're going to be, much more familiar with technology. And then on the flip of that, that sergeant first class, first sergeant, they've got almost, their entire life, serving. And they've through a lot, they've experienced a lot, they've been deployed, a handful of times and have all this experience. So they pair them together so that, again, that can kind of help groom that captain. Because at one, if he does everything right, eventually that captain may, or his progress through, he's going to be able to look back and thank that first sergeant, to helping them, groom and become a better officer. So I think that, on one side, you as a leader should look at it from that lens to a point of, hey, like these guys can help me become better from, their experience, and there's a lot that they can teach me.
100%.
And then I think that kind of, going forward too, you have to ask yourself the question, like you mentioned that there's a couple guys that you're still not really, that friendly with or whatever. I think the question needs to be asked is, do you have to have that relationship you're seeking with everyone that you're in charge of? Because, I would make the argument that, because at the end of the day, it wasn't the guys that you're managing took a vote and put you in charge. It was the person that you answer to that gave you this opportunity. So at the end of the day, they've got to accept that. If they can't, it's their problem. The guys that, are right around your age group, again, they probably are wondering, okay, like, how does this guy just walk in here and now he's, doing the job that I want to do? And there's often jealousy when it comes to that, not just in landscaping, but literally anywhere. People that have been, busting their ass for years, for opportunity. But I mean, really, like, again, it goes back to that individual. They got to ask themselves, hey, obviously, the top boss, didn't see what he needed to in me, or maybe I'm lacking in some way. What do I need to do differently moving forward? Now, that's a very mature way to think, and not everyone's like that. The people who continuously strive for self improvement, continue to pay attention to things, and because they're stopping these guys going to you or going to the boss and hey, like, what's my step in moving up? Like, how do I go from where I'm at to here? Or again, have a conversation, what do you want out of this job?
100%.
where do you see your company? And having those types of questions, and then it can be on you as a leader to maybe instigate some of those conversations from time to time. I found that you don't want to have a conversation like that every day. But again, maybe when you do employee reviews, that's something that you ask. Hey man, like, do you want to be a I don't even know the positions. I mean, you want to be a laborer, you're going to be a landscape designer. Like, what, like, do you want to do that for the next 20 years? Or, do you want to get up into, a field manager level, or, be in charge of estimating, or, whatever, or again, maybe there's not a spot for you here where you want to be, but we can help you get the experience, get the education. Because shoot, man, like many, many, many years ago when I was a restaurant manager, I always said kind of to myself, like, and people here that are washing dishes, or they're they're a cook, man, this might not be what you want to do for the rest of your life. And in the restaurant business, I mean, turnover is constant. It's rampant. So my thing was, all right, I'm probably gonna lose these people anyway through normal turnover at some point. Maybe I could start having conversations with them though about like what are they working toward working here, and having those types of conversations. And again, because hey, like if if I can help them, maybe it's something as simple as they're working here because they suck at interviewing, and so this was the best job they could get. Okay, well, hey, like let's, why don't you come in early one day or stay late one day, and I'll help you, with interviewing skills, and we can have a conversation. We can talk about this. And again, I mean, like, the possibilities from there, are endless on, what you could see as an answer. But, yeah, so, I mean, to me, it's just, having the conversations, but also being true to yourself and realizing that, not everyone has to like you, or even respect you. I mean, like that's that's you don't have to like me, but but you will respect me, as a line from the movies. That's bullshit. But if you're going to be here taking a paycheck, you're going to listen to me. So I think that maybe moving forward, I don't know, just continue to try, don't give up, but really, all you have to prove is this is why your boss hired you.
And they know that, man. Like, they know that. My manager has no issue with me. I mean, I've been told I've been doing a good job, but the thing is, man, is these guys, they don't want the responsibility, man. They say it over and over again, like, I don't want your job. It's too much pressure. It's too much responsibility. But like, and I try to. I'm not, and this. I everywhere I go, like I say, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to do my job. If I make friends, that's always a plus. I told you when we were working at Case, like that I came here to work, and I mean, I showed you I was there to work, and that's what we were. But I mean, we have this friendship that, I mean, we've been friends for a couple of years now. So that was a plus that I talk about. But, and I tell these guys, man, like, I'm here to make your job easier in a way, because there before there was a language barrier, and now there is no language barrier. I want to make it easier. I want you to understand better. I want you guys to be great, because if you guys aren't great, then that means I'm not doing my job. If I can't train these guys to be able to do my job and do it correctly, and maybe even do it better, then I'm not a good leader. That's what us leaders are there to do. Like, if you can train a guy to take over your job, that makes moving up easier. And that's what I tell my guys all the time. Like, it'll be easier if I move up, someone's moving into this position. Let's all work together. We're a team. But I don't know, man. This older workforce is, for me, how I see it is they're comfortable where they are. But those are the type of people that don't move up. The type of people that move up are people that don't get comfortable, that don't want to just sit in one place and make the same amount of money and doing the same thing, for years, and that's what I told my guys. I'm like, I am here, but I'm not going to be here for, obviously I'm going to stick with the company, but if I can move up, that's my goal in this company. Like, I see everything as a career, and they should too. But it's hard to have people think that way. Like, maybe this is a career for me, but because no one looks at an industry, a blue collar industry, as a career. They look at it as a job.
So my dad, he's a welder, and he's been a welder all of his life. And the company he works for now, he's been there probably very, very close to 30 years. And it was probably back, I don't know, maybe when I was in high school, maybe it was a little bit after that. But, I remember we always used to have, like these, we call them garage talks, like where we'd go out bowling or something and, come home and, like he'd, drink beer and, I'd sit there and chain smoke cigarettes and we'd, talk for hours about all sorts of things. But one time I asked him, I said, why don't you try to get promoted? Because he'd been offered a promotion route a few times, and he basically did the same sort of thing that your guys said. Hey, like, a promotion from where I'm at would be like a team leader or whatever it's called, and once I'm a team leader, then now I'm responsible for everyone else's work on that team, and myself in a position where if somebody else isn't carrying their weight, I'm the one that could be fired. Mm-hmm. And so again, it's comfortability is one way to look at it, but it's also security. It's job security. If you're in a position where you just have to worry about you and what you're doing, then there are no risks. But don't get comfortable and want to strive for more. I mean, there's always with that, and it's the way you want it to. Sometimes it doesn't. But it was something, even still to this day, man. Like, I understand where my dad's coming from, but it's something that just kind of drove me crazy, over the years in my head. 'Cause it's like, man, like, why wouldn't you, take this opportunity? Because, it's going to be more money. Who knows what lies ahead after team leader, and I mean, welding is a physical job. So as you get older, maybe working a desk job would allow you to work in life if you had to. But again, I mean, he's, and it's not just him, like, both of my parents are kind of the, cut from the same cloth in that regard, where it's, no, like, you're happy to have a job. You're not going to really press the envelope too much or rock the boat with what's going on. You're just going to do your job, punch in, punch out, collect your paycheck. Thank you very much. And move on about life.
And that makes sense, man. Because I mean, if I'm a father for the first time, so thinking about losing my job and not being able to provide for my family, my child, it's scary. It is scary. I'm not gonna say it's not. It is 100% scary. But if you don't take a risk, man, there's not gonna be a reward. If you don't if you don't think outside the box, then what kind of purpose do you have? And I know we're getting kind of deep, but for me, it's a purpose. Like I not that I need a purpose, but I came to this earth. I'm alive for a reason, and I'm gonna find that purpose. I can't just keep my mind in a box and just be like, oh, what if I go out and do this, or I take a risk and do that. Like, no, let's do it. Let's see where I end up. Like what I've picked up in all my years of taking risk is experience, man. And that's what's gotten me where I've been in these companies that I work for. And I'm grateful for the experience, that I've had, and everyone I met, and all the information I hold, man. And for me, it's a valuable thing.
Yeah, and I mean the purpose comment. To me, it kind of reminds me like people say, you have a soulmate. If so, to me, say that there's five people out there in the entire world that may love you perfectly, and they're your soulmate. I mean, but again, it's five people, like the entire body, and it's not accounting for people that you may find really attractive, or it's not five people that might be the same age as you. It's not five people that may speak the same language or be in the same country. And to me, purpose is sort of like that too, where maybe your purpose was, I don't even know, like, creating Chat GPT. Maybe that was your purpose. But somewhere previously in life, you missed out on the calling of an IT profession. And so that passed you by. And now you're left with, making the best of the hand that you dealt now. So, because I think about this time that, and, but it's one of those things, you look at history of the world, and, what's happening now, and just, I mean, how many people, again, like percentage wise of world population since it exists, have really had a purpose that changes the course of history, or makes this big splash, or and or again, how many people really realize purpose, and come, and see something and realize, hey, this is what this is what I was born to do. I mean, you look at someone like, Tom Brady, that his purpose, was to be the greatest quarterback the NFL has ever seen. And, but like at what point, even now that he's retired, do you think that, he's sitting in his mansion somewhere and thinking about purpose, and what? I think I nailed it. I think that, that was my purpose. Because purpose too is one of those things where, like we talk about it as if it's a destination, but to me it's an ongoing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because now if Tom Brady's sitting there saying, that was my purpose, then what the hell are you living for now?
No, man, you always have a purpose. It's whether you accomplish something or not, there's always something for you to keep doing. Because you don't know who you will impact along that journey. Like Tom Brady impacted a lot of kids, you know what I'm saying? And he could still impact a lot of people. And not only that, I mean, a lot of people can argue he became a GOAT. Like I don't think Tom Brady ever in his mind was like, oh, this is what exactly what I'm doing. No, he just went with it and took risk, man. If you don't take risk, there's no reward. And now he's sitting in reward, but there's still a purpose. We don't. Maybe we call it a purpose, but a lot of people can call it different things, and we just have to keep going because we don't know who's looking at us and who is following our footsteps. Because that person, I mean, ultimately, it'll there's still a lot of people that a lot of rookies that get interviewed, and it's like, yeah, man, Tom Brady influenced me to keep going, and maybe that's the purpose of you influencing other people and changing other people's minds and being like, oh shit, if he could do it, I could do it too.
Yeah, no, that is exceptionally well said. You've made a lot of good points this week, man. Did a very good job as you sit there and drink your bottled water. But that is pretty much about all we have for this week. Before we let you go, wanted to do a little bit of self-promotion, mention a few things. So the way we've kind of planned this out is that I think we're going to run. So right now we're in season 1 of our podcast. So looking at running about 4 episodes of season 1, this being one of them, and having an end date of season 1 right around July 15th. And then we're going to take a little bit of hiatus and just kind of, regroup and, do our homework and do what we need to come out with season 2, which is going to be on September 9th. So looking forward to it. We got a lot of things, a lot of ideas out there. So going to keep reminding you about it, but from about mid-July through the beginning of September, we'll be and try to see better than season 1. So we will keep reminding you of that so you don't think we just disappeared. Something else, the Snow and Ice Management Association, the 26th annual symposium and trade show is in Hartford, Connecticut this June. On June 14th, I will be there doing a workshop talking about the Mock Storm training system. And this is something that for snow operations people out there, it's something I highly recommend to look into. It's going to be an educational workshop. Yep. I'm going to kind of show you what I'm talking about, show you, how to best use it and implement it in your system, and really talk about a lot of the benefits and byproducts of a good mock storm. If you are not able, and WeatherWorks will be there with me. So they'll be there anyway for the trade show, but they will be there with me on stage, helping me give some weather briefings and stuff for this mock storm. So that should be pretty cool. If you cannot make, absolutely, all day. If you cannot make the SIMA Symposium, it's too far, you got stuff going on, I understand. But if you are still interested in learning about that mock storm, I will be at 2 other events coming up over the course of the summer. They are going to be both Snowfighter Institute events. One will be June 27th and 28th in Brighton, Michigan. That's going to be put on by the Hot Pink De-Icer. So that should be fun. The Hot Pink De-Icer guys are pretty cool. They're pretty funny.
Great people.
Yeah. They're pretty awesome to hang around.
It's a great company.
And then after that, September 7th in Bensalem, Pennsylvania, they'll be doing another operational forum. This one will be hosted and put on by Caterpillar. So again, fantastic opportunity if you wanted to learn more about what CAT can do for your business as far as buying equipment or leasing equipment, repairing equipment, whatever. No matter where you are in the country, they can help you and help you reach out to that can work with you in your area. So again, that is SIMA Symposium, June 14th. The Snowfighters Institute, June 27th and 28th in Brighton, Michigan. September 6th and 7th in Bensalem, Pennsylvania. But yes, so that is all we have for this week. We thank you so much for tuning in again. See you
Shout out to
next
all the
week.
mothers out there.
And until then,
We are recording this on Mother's Day weekend, so shout out to all the mothers,
good call.
single mothers, married mothers, whatever
Yes.
kind of mother you are. All the mothers out there, it's your weekend. Enjoy it. We love you. Without you guys, we won't be here. We wouldn't be here. So, shout out to all you guys and enjoy it.
Good catch, man. Yeah, happy Mother's Day to my wife again, and to my mom, grandma, everybody in my circle
All
for
our,
sure.
all our women
Good
in our
catch, man.
life.
That would have had me in the doghouse if we didn't mention that, man.
Oh yeah, shout out to all the mothers, man. Morgan, your
So
mom, they're all great people. Shout out to Taylor, my baby's mother. She's awesome. I love her to death. So happy Mother's Day to everyone.
absolutely, we will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining.